Welcome back to my channel where we explore the fascinating world of macro photography. Today we have an exciting topic for all the budding macro photographers out there. We'll be diving into the technique of focus stacking, a powerful tool to capture stunning details in your macro shot. So grab your camera and let's get started. Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to guide you through the fundamentals of focus stacking in macro photography. Focus stacking is a technique that combines multiple images at different focus points into one ultra sharp image. It's particularly useful when shooting close-ups of small subjects where the depth of field is very narrow. Macro photography can be fun, but at the same time it can be very frustrating. Forget camera gear for the moment. There is one problem that faces every macro photographer out there, and that is depth of field. Depth of field is the in-focus areas of an image, and in macro photography that is extremely thin. So how can we combat the problem of depth of field? How can we increase the area that is in focus in an image? The first thought that comes to mind is increasing your f-stop. Increasing your f-stop closes down the aperture in your camera's lens, which results in a higher depth of field. But this also introduces another problem that macro photographers have to fight, and that is diffraction. In macro photography, diffraction refers to the phenomenon where light waves spread out and interfere with each other when passing through a small aperture. Diffraction can manifest itself in an image as a loss of fine details, a lack of sharpness and an overall softening of the image. This effect is most noticeable at higher f-stops like f16 and f22. It's worth noting that diffraction is a fundamental aspect of photography no matter what genre you're doing, and is more noticeable at higher f-stops. In short, the higher the f-stop goes, the softer your image will become. This is where focus bracketing and focus stacking come in. Focus stacking is a technique that allows you to create images with a maximum depth of field. In other words, with focus stacking you can create sharp images from the front of the insect, like the insect's feet, all the way to the back, having an entire insect in focus. There are two steps to focus stacking. The first step is called focus bracketing. This is where you take a series of images at different focal points throughout the scene. Afterwards, you blend these images using post-processing software together to create one composite image that is ultra sharp. This step is called focus stacking. There are many different methods of capturing the focus bracketing sequence, but some methods are better than others. This is what I like to call the hit rate. You'll hear me mention the hit rate several times in this video. Simply put, the hit rate is the amount of successful stacks you get from any given method. One aspect that contributes to the success of your image stacks is your subject. No matter what your subject is, it needs to be static and still. If your subject moves while doing the focus bracketing sequence, your focus stack will fail. This includes any extreme camera movements or wind in the scene. Sometimes you can get weird artifacts like this. This is caused by the insect's antennas moving while doing a stack. These can be easily fixed in Photoshop afterwards. The one thing that will always ruin your stack is the subject moving. Believe me, they don't know you're taking an image of them and they just don't care. If the subject moves, you will have to start the focus bracketing all over again. The first method I want to talk about when it comes to focus bracketing is manually moving your focusing ring. What you want to do is you want to set up your camera to a continuous burst mode. We're going to focus our camera just in front of where you want the stack to begin. What we're going to do is we will press and hold down our shutter, allow the stack to start, and then we will turn our focusing ring to slowly focus from the front of the insect to the back of the insect, giving us a focus stack. For this method, you really want to be on a solid tripod like this tripod from Suri, and have a decent ball head like this one from Platipod. This is the Platiball. With a solid foundation using natural light, this is a very good method for capturing your focus bracketed images. The quicker you can get your focus bracketed sequence done, the higher your hit rate will be. The second method I want to talk about is handheld focus bracketing. It's exactly the same as method 1, but we're just ditching the tripod. We don't want to use a tripod, it's too constricting. If you've got a steady enough hand, we can do it handheld. Again, we will set our camera to a continuous burst. I will set the magnification on my lens so we can get our subject to fill the frame, and we will focus just in front of the subject, press down our shutter button and move the camera forward to get our stack. To get a successful stack when hand holding, you can only move the camera forward. If you pan it or move it up and down, your stack will fail. So you need to be steady and just move it forward. If you're like me and you like to use flash, this method is perfectly okay for flash. However, by using the flash, it will slow you down because you've got to take a picture, move forward, wait for the flash to recycle, take another picture, which means your hit rate will be lower than doing a natural light handheld focus bracketing. If you don't like method 1 or 2, or you're just unstable doing a handheld focus stack, then what you can do is you can get a piece of gear called a macro focusing rail. This is the Nissi NM200S. What this piece of gear allows you to do is to move the camera in very fine steps. What we can do is we can set up the camera. Again, you set the magnification so the subject's filling the frame. We focus just in front of the subject where we want the stack to start, and we can take a picture. We can then move our knob to move the camera forward. This method is very successful on static objects, such as insects in the morning when they're cold and not moving, watches, or any type of product photography. This can be very successful. However, the downside is probably the slowest method in getting a focus bracketed sequence, which means if you're photographing moving subjects, again, your hit rate is probably going to be the lowest using this method. Method 4 that I want to talk about is autofocus bracketing. Most modern cameras now come equipped with a feature to capture a series of focus bracketed images. The feature is called, as you guessed it, focus bracketing. You'll need to check your camera's manual to see if your camera supports taking a focus bracketed sequence. Although most modern cameras can do focus bracketing, not all of them can do it with a third-party flash. If you're a natural light macro photographer, you've got nothing to worry about. However, if you like me and you like to use a flash, then you will need to check your camera's manual to see if your camera will trigger the flash whilst doing a focus bracketed sequence. Autofocus bracketing, like on this Olympus EM1 Mark II, is now my favourite and go-to method for getting a focus bracketed image of a live insect out in the field. Some cameras can also support internal focus stacking. If yours does, turn it on, give it a go, you may be surprised by the results. Since getting this camera, my hit rate for focus stacking out in the field has doubled. It's fast, it's very easy, and it's more enjoyable than any of the other methods that I have described in this video. Once you've captured your focus bracketing sequence, it's time to bring them all together. We do this using a post-processing software like Photoshop, Zoom Stacker, or Helicon Focus. My preferred software that I use is Helicon Focus. My workflow when it comes to a focus stacked image is this. I will take the focus bracketed sequence into Lightroom and color grade them using my macro presets. Link in the description if you want to take a look at my macro presets and support the channel. I then bring those into Helicon Focus. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to Helicon Focus, so 90% of the time I leave the default settings as they are and I just click render and allow Helicon Focus to stack the images together. What this software is doing is it's picking the sharp in focus areas from each image and blending them together into one composited image that has a higher depth of field than you can get using just the camera alone. Once this is done, I will then take that into Photoshop and clean it up using my macro assistant actions. Again, there's a link in the description if you want to take a look at my actions for Photoshop. Once we've done the editing, you should have one composite image that beautifully showcases the intricate details of your subject. If you get weird artifacts like in this example here, that means you haven't taken enough images in the sequence and there's parts of your image that are out of focus. If you do get this, don't worry, just go out, try again and just take more images. Always take more than you need. That's it, folks. With focus stacking, you can capture macro photographs with breathtaking details. Remember, practice makes perfect, so don't be afraid to experiment and refine your skills. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future macro photography videos. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, keep exploring. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I've got two words out. Topic for all the budding. Okay, I'm reading it and I still fuck it up. Alright, this comes the hard part now, so I can't look at the iPad. Hi everyone, in this video I'll guide you through the fundamentals of macro. You know, I'm going to get me a Lego set instead. Right, is the iPad in shot or not? No, you want to do? You want to fucking stick the iPad there? Hold that iPad there.
Maybe we have to be.
I've got good eyesight. Okay. Am I still in frame okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see it.
You're
It's particularly useful when shooting close. Will you stop laughing?
Stop.
It's you! It's you! You keep laughing! Fuck's sakes, man. This was a bad idea, man. I should have just stopped it out and done it in the studio. In macro photography, diffraction refers to the phenomenon where... In macro photography, diffraction refers to the phenomenon where light waves do something as they pass through something and fucks up your image. So that's it, folks. With focus stacking, you can get something that I've written down here. Thank you for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe and click the like button. It really does help out the channel. I want to thank my Patreon supporters for their continued support in supporting me and this channel. If you're interested in joining Patreon, then check in the description below this video for a link to Patreon. If you want to continue watching my macro journey, then click one of the videos in front of you now.